Hello, this is Brian Hegney, Instructor of Communication at High Point University. Continuing on our quest to model Robert from the inner world using 3D Studio Max and some very simple 3D modeling techniques. I added Turbo Smooth in the last video. I'm just going to go ahead and click the Edit Poly below it. Now, I don't have to turn this Edit Poly or the Turbo Smooth off in order to not see it. What I want to point out is this little visual or this little tool called Show End Result on-off toggle. To me, that looks like a beaker. It always has looked like a beaker. I'm not sure if that's a pipe for your pipeline visualization. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. So I'm going to toggle that on and off, and you can see that when it's toggled off, what it does is it'll show you whatever you click on, it'll show you up to that step. And things work upward. So as we add more edit polys to the stack, as we add more modifiers, they're built on top of each other. And as we click on things below, down toward the bottom of the stack, we kind of go back in time. Like, what did it look like before we added that modifier? And what you'll note is it'll stop you from going to this edit poly because it's possible that we delete vertices, that we delete edges in some of these edit polys. And so if we were to go back in time and alter that, we could damage the entire model as it goes upwards in the stack. So that's why it says, are you sure you want to do this? This is really for professionals. I'm just going to say we're going to say no, we're not going to go down that stack. Okay. But what I do want to do is add another modifier. So I'm going to select the topmost edit poly, disable show end result so I don't look at my Turbo Smooth. And I'm going to say edit poly. Now we added another one up here, and what I want to do is select all the faces of the bucket. So I'm going to hit L for left here, F for front. Okay, I'm there. I'm going to give myself a see-through material, and I'm going to turn on edged faces here by tapping F4. And you'll note the bucket is really here. Now I'm going to show you select mode by going to selection tool. Select and move tool, select object tool. And I personally like to change my selection region to this 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. It's a freehand drawing, and I can left click now and select. Oh, why didn't you select anything? Because I'm not in there. There we go. I need to be in this top edit poly. I need to be in polygon selection mode, and if I were to drag a little selection here, I select all of them. The other thing I need you to note is this window crossing tool. This means that with it's either windowed or crossing. Windowed or crossing. Windowed means your selection tool would have to cover completely the polygons in order to select them. Crossing mode, it shows the dotted line going through that square. You can just cross those polygons right there and it'll select them. The other issue that you have to be aware of is there's a checkbox called Ignore Backfacing. If it's checked, then it will only select polygons that are visible in the window you've selected. You see that? So by default, I think it's on Ignore Backfacing, and that's perfectly what you want. And that way I can select all of these polygons just by drawing that little circle around that. Okay? From there, there's a tool. I'm going to drag my command panel out to the left a little bit to reveal this more tools for edit polygons. Alright, I'm going to drag it out so I can see 3 columns worth. The tool that we are going to use, oh, I guess we didn't have to do that, is Extrude. Yes, Extrude. And we're not just going to click the Extrude button that says Extrude. We're going to click the little settings box to the right of the word Extrude. And it's going to open up this little dialog box right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start where it says 0 centimeters, and we're going to left click and drag it so it's like a number like 20 centimeters. Now we're going to notice that's not at all what we want, but I only did that so that we can click the box above it. You see the little down arrow? I want you to toggle between all three of these options. Group normals is what it's doing right now. Local normals is extruding outward. And the third one is by polygon, extrudes every single polygon on its own, okay? So we actually do want, I think you can tell, local normals. And now I want to change that value to like something much smaller, because we're actually going to try to recreate that bucket shape, okay? So here's where we're going to extrude it like that and just accept it by clicking the checkbox there. I'm going to be completely insane and add another edit poly on top of that. Ooh. Yes. Oh, selection. Where are you, selection? I don't know why that selection was disabled. Now I'm going to go into my vertex mode. Yes, vertex mode. And I'm going to now... No. I don't want to do vertex mode. I still want to do edge mode and double-click these edges and still continue to scale just like I would have normally. Scale that. The only difference is up here I'm going to left double-click this and actually delete that innermost edge here. Delete. Yeah. That way, okay. That way, nothing, yeah. Okay, now this is the outer edge of that bucket, so I'm going to actually have to, again, scale that, rotate it. Scale this, rotate it. And actually, we can now move this quote-unquote downward. And it's going to give us that little lip, right? Like it's actually over his head. And we're going to scale this out, rotate this. That. Rotate that. This actually needs to be slightly in a little bit more like that. There, and now we're starting to see a little bit better, okay? And now the problem is, when I select off of it, you see that Turbo Smooth actually doesn't do this amazing job with it because it makes it too curvatured, too curved. Whoops, you can't really tell because it's not like that there. Now that's too rectilinear, so, but if we put on Turbo Smooth, it gets rid of all that detail. So that's what I was showing you in the very first introductory video. And I'll show you how to get on with that right now. And I'm going to add another, what am I going to add? Another edit poly to do this. From here, this is another great tool. I'm going to go into edge mode again and double click this edge. And I'm going to turn on Turbo Smooth and I'm going to turn on toggle. No, I won't, because that'll disappear. Untoggle, show end result, and the topmost edit poly with Turbo Smooth. Yeah, it's not going to matter. And I'm going to now chamfer that. And chamfering basically turns that edge into a double edge. I'm going to click the little box next to the right of chamfer, and that brings the dialog box up. And I'm going to make this second value here, the second little box has the value that it's chamfered. Just left click and drag it just a little bit. Really don't want it to be too huge. That's ridiculous. We want it to be about like that. Standard chamfer, quad chamfer. Let's select quad chamfer. I don't think it's going to matter in this case. I actually don't want it to be quad right now because it is a quad. Okay. So quad chamfer will come in handy if if we're chamfering something that isn't based in quads, but my model is in quads already, okay? That's really what we have to worry about right here, and now I'm going to accept that by choosing the checkbox. Now if we were to toggle that on, the detail is kept here when it's in turbo smoothed. So if that weren't the case, it would have, I'm going to turn off that edit poly with the chamfer. You can see toggling that on and off shows you that detail. Now guess what? I want the same detail with this line, so I'm going to keep my edge mode selected, double click that, chamfer it again, and that much is perfectly fine, and accept it by using the checkbox. And I'm going to toggle that on and off. And that's how we keep that shape of the bucket. Okay? Okay, the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to finish this off, okay? I'm going to finish this off by closing... I'm not going to cap holes, by the way. I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to do this by hand. And we will do that in the next video. And then you will have done his body, not his legs, or his arms, but his body, okay? Alright, bye-bye.